So creating a routine you can rely on. Now, this is focused on embracing openness, honesty, and aligning your work styles, right? You need to be clear of what you can achieve and what you can't achieve, what you're capable of and what you're simply just not capable of. But first, you set your goals. What do you want to do? What do you want to learn in the long term? What do you want to learn in the short term? I'll give an example of when I was starting to learn how to do web development. I wanted to learn how to do everything straight away, and that's not the approach. I wanted to learn how to do front end, back end, everything else, buying all the courses possible so I can learn everything within a week because I'm very impatient. That's not achievable. When I started talking to people who do web development, people that I worked with in the previous company I was at, they started telling me about their experience and how they got to where they were. And a lot of them were telling me about how they just started small, building a one-page website. So they helped me to shape that short-term goal of, well, if this is how long it took you, let's say 3 years to get you experience, let me set my short-term goal of what can I achieve within the first 3 months. Cool. Now I've got my first 3 months locked down. Well, what did you do within that first 3 months? Well, you learned how to build a one-page website. So now that's my short-term goal. But you also need to realize what the long-term goal is. So what would I learn how to do by the end of the year? Well, I want to learn how to build that website and then add a contact form to it. And then that contact form will essentially send something to a back end. So how about we work towards that? So first 3 months, let's learn how to do the website. And now I'm getting my short-term wins. I'm getting, the endorphin boost from I've achieved something. And honestly, that's the approach I took. And it was amazing. It worked well for me. I'm still learning, but I'm enjoying the small wins. I'm enjoying each short-term goal. And the short-term goals are basically a breakdown of the long-term goal of becoming fully proficient in web development. Does it benefit me? Yeah. I built our website. Do I still have things to learn? Yeah, because I built our website and there's things that need to be improved on it. But it's all a learning experience. And I have my long-term goal of being fully proficient, the long-term goal of being able to have in-depth discussions with the devs that support and help us. What else could I ask for, right? Everything's going to plan for me. Now, the next thing is once you've worked with the person that's helping you develop your skills, you've now agreed on the where and the when. You haven't? That's fine. How are you going to do that? You've got two options, really, in person or virtual. Now, what COVID taught us is you don't have to physically see someone to be able to communicate with them all the time. We've got access to Google Meet, which is free. You've got access to Zoom, which has a free plan. You've got access to our Discord community, where you can talk to people. There's different ways of approaching things. And each one has its benefit. Virtual, you can do it anytime, anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection, right? Or some kind of mobile connection. In person, you have to plan it a bit more. You have to meet in person. But in person, you can read people's body language a bit more. Naturally, I'm quite anxious. So when I just do audio chats, I have to infer what people are saying. I have to kind of just pretend I get what they mean, and they might mean something differently. Or for example, if someone texts me, I'll read the message in whatever emotion I'm feeling at the time, and that's not good. So in person helps someone like me a lot because I can read their body language. I can share an idea with them, the skill I want to develop. And whilst they're talking, I can kind of read whether they're uncomfortable, whether they're kind of frowning or looking at me like, what's this guy chatting about? Through an in-person experience, I can kind of learn that, okay, I'm saying the right things, I'm saying the wrong things, but there's some areas I need to pick out on later in the conversation because they displayed a bit of discomfort. But virtual is really easy to meet everyone. So I can do that, but I don't get full benefit of reading people's body language and getting an idea of how they feel about what I'm saying. People thrive in different ways. If you're quite introverted, you might prefer a virtual experience. If you're quite extroverted, you might prefer an in-person experience, or you both, wherever it is. But in this situation, it's a case of finding a comfortable medium. If you prefer an in-person experience, but the person you're trying to develop from or with is someone who prefers virtual experience, well, consider mixing it up. Consider the virtual experience being like your regular meetings, and that's fine. And then consider the odd lunch like meetup, maybe meet up for a coffee where you can just chat, where it doesn't have to feel so formal as an in-person. That soothes your needs as well as it soothes theirs. Timings. How regularly do you want to meet, right? Do you want to meet on an ad hoc basis? And that takes us back to before, what I said before. How comfortable are they? What's their availability? Now, when you're trying to create a routine, you need to pick a good timing structure. It could be ad hoc, but if it's ad hoc, you need to set milestones, goals you want to complete, goals that trigger the next meeting, for example. You don't just leave it because it's very easy to say, oh, we'll catch up when we catch up, and you never will. In most cases, you forget about it. You just get lazy and comfortable, and I've done it before. I'd rather play Xbox, or I can't be asked to sit another meeting. But I'm lucky to have mentors that prefer routines. Catch up with me every month, catch up with me every 2 weeks. And for me, that works a lot better. Having someone go, so having someone be a lot more temperamental, a lot more aggressive, and kind of just going, meet me at this time. I'm kind of like, okay, let's do this. But you will also get people who are kind of blasé, and if you do ad hoc with them, it won't go well. You need to be the one to encourage a regular meeting with them. In general, regular meetings are better. It helps you maintain a good pace. So yeah, regular meetings are good. You can progress smoothly, but in some cases, ad hoc meetings are better because the person's availability is a bit scattered. Regular meetings, you can say, let's just catch up, and every time we catch up, we can, assess where we're at. But on an ad hoc basis, you need to set milestones. What have I achieved? And if you can use the ad hoc approach for regular, you're going to be smashing it in your skills development. If you're able to if you're able to say, okay, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to achieve this, and whatever you achieve is going to be an upgrade from your previous session, you're doing well. But it's fine if you fail. It's fine if you get to that next meeting and say, hey, I couldn't do this. Don't get comfortable with it, but it's fine. Don't feel like, oh, I can't have this session because I've not achieved this. That's what I'm trying to say. But try and get comfortable with the idea of pushing yourself so you can actually meet that goal on time. If you turn up to that session and, I don't know, you haven't achieved your goal, that's okay. That's an opportunity to reassess your learning style. Is it working for you? Is the approach you're taking working? And have that conversation with that other person. Try and get an idea of, well, in this situation, what they're doing to fix it. And you might be in a position where you both just go, I actually don't know how to fix this. And that's when you start bringing more people in. That's when it becomes a knowledge sharing group, which I'll talk about a bit more in terms of building up ideas and businesses. That's when you start building up. That's when you start escalating things and you start creating your own community, your little club. That's pretty much it. That's when it grows. It grows out of hand sometimes, but in many ways for the greater good. Now, reinforcing. Something that works for me that I really hate doing is setting forfeits. Now, for example, with my girlfriend, I basically told her that, hey, I'm going to have a system. I'm going to make sure that I'm up at, 6:30. But most importantly, 6:30 in the morning, that is. But most importantly, I'm going to not start any work after 8. If I do, I have to be done with that work by 12 o'clock. Why? Because I hyper-focus a lot. I've been known to sit behind my computer and work from 12 in the afternoon to 7 the next morning. Many times without not stopping to eat. What that does to me is the next time when I'm at work, I'm struggling. But when I'm back in this zone, I'm so hyper-focused. It's not a healthy relationship to have with my work. It's not a healthy relationship to have with the people around me. So I started setting, timings of when I'm going to cut off by, and if I do break that rule. But the forfeit I put in place was, right, we're going out this weekend. If I break this rule, I'm buying your drinks, all the drinks that night. That's a big forfeit for me because I didn't want to do that. So I was definitely done at 11:59. I switched off my laptop. So that works for me. For that person, it might be a challenge. I don't know. You have to buy them a gift, or it might anything. Once you start knowledge sharing someone, once you build a relationship, you get quite comfortable with each other. You get quite, friendly with each other, and you can get to know what jokes and stuff you can have flying around and what a fun forfeit could be, I guess, or something you don't want to do. Also, setting regular reminders. Even on an ad hoc basis, you can set reminders for the tasks you need to complete because you need to have some kind of cadence. The meetings can be ad hoc, but your achievements need to be regular. They need to be timed.